Data engineering on Microsoft Azure DP-203 updated questions are available for you to study the test. Study free Microsoft DP-203 updated questions in the video. 1. You have a SQL pool in Azure Synapse. A user reports that queries against the pool take longer than expected to complete. You need to add monitoring to the underlying storage to help diagnose the issue. Which two metrics should you monitor? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Note: each correct selection is worth 1 point. A. Cache used percentage. B. DWU limit. C. Snapshot storage size. D. Active queries. E. Cache hit percentage. 2. What should you recommend using to secure sensitive customer contact information? A. Data labels. B. Column level security. C. Row level security. D. Transparent data encryption, TDE. 3. You are designing an Azure Databricks table. The table will ingest an average of 20 million streaming events per day. You need to persist the events in the table for use in incremental load pipeline jobs in Azure Databricks. The solution must minimize storage costs and incremental load times. What should you include in the solution? A. Partition by date-time fields. B. Sync to Azure Queue Storage. C. Include a watermark column. D. Use a JSON format for physical data storage. 4. You have an Azure Data Factory version 2, v2, resource named df1. df1 contains a linked service. You have an Azure Key Vault named Vault1 that contains an encryption key named Key1. You need to encrypt df1 by using Key1. What should you do first? A. Add a private endpoint connection to Vol1. B. Enable Azure role-based access control on Vault1. C. Remove the linked service from df1. D. Create a self-hosted integration runtime. 5. You need to schedule an Azure Data Factory pipeline to execute when a new file arrives in an Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 container. Which type of trigger should you use? A. On demand. B. Tumbling window. C. Schedule. D. Event. 6. You plan to ingest streaming social media data by using Azure Stream Analytics. The data will be stored in files in Azure Data Lake Storage, and then consumed by using Azure Databricks and Polybase in Azure Synapse Analytics. You need to recommend a Stream Analytics data output format to ensure that the queries from Databricks and Polybase against the files encounter the fewest possible errors. The solution must ensure that the tiles can be queried quickly and that the data type information is retained. What should you recommend? A. Parquet. B. Avro. C. CSV. D. JSON. 7. You plan to implement an Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 container that will contain CSV files. The size of the files will vary based on the number of events that occur per hour. File sizes range from 4 KB to 5 GB. You need to ensure that the files stored in the container are optimized for batch processing. What should you do? A. Compress the files. B. Merge the files. C. Convert the files to JSON. D. Convert the files to Avro. 8. You plan to perform batch processing in Azure Databricks once daily. Which type of Databricks cluster should you use? A. High concurrency. B. Automated. C. Interactive. 9. You have a data warehouse in Azure Synapse Analytics. You need to ensure that the data in the data warehouse is encrypted at rest. What should you enable? A. Advanced data security for this database. B. Transparent data encryption, TDE. C. Secure transfer required. D. Dynamic data masking. 10. You are developing a solution that will stream to Azure Stream Analytics. The solution will have both streaming data and reference data. Which input type should you use for the reference data? A. Azure Cosmos DB. B. Azure Blob Storage. C. Azure IoT Hub. D. Azure Event Hubs.